Okay, restaurant owners, this is the video tutorial with step-by-step instructions on how to create the spreadsheet that you can use to quickly and calculate your food costs as well as your waste percentage. And I'm gonna just go step-by-step through this. As a reminder, if you haven't watched the video that I put out about how to accurately and quickly calculate your food costs, then you're gonna wanna watch that first because that gives instructions on how to use this spreadsheet. And also, if you want to, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description. You're welcome to download the spreadsheet that I'm gonna show you here. Just go and copy it and then paste it and use it however you want. So you don't even have to worry about putting all these formulas in. I'm using Google Sheets. If you're using Microsoft Excel or for example, or you just want to build a template by yourself, then this is the step-by-step instructions for how to build that worksheet. You'll remember that video about how to calculate your food costs. What we were trying to do is get a percentage of how much your food costs are. And here's an example that I shared in that video. What percentage of your revenue is going out to food costs? And then what percentage of your food is being wasted? Here's just a little sample that I stuck together and referred in that video, and I'm going to show you how to build this out so that you can put your menu items in and then put the per item food costs in, your time, how many times you've sold those items over. I recommend 3 months, and then the rest of this will all calculate for you so you know exactly what your food costs were. And if you remember right, in that video I also shared what the averages are throughout the United States so that you can kind of compare where you're at versus other healthy restaurants. I'm going to start from scratch and just give you the almost bare bones turn by turn instructions for how to do it, and then I will go back and explain a few things so that you understand why we did what we did there. So I'm going to start with blank spreadsheet, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on the one row, the entire row, to highlight row 1, and then I'm going to click to make that bold so that everything I type into this row is bold. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now go into A1 and I'm going to type menu item. And then I'm going to drag that menu item out to about where the B line is right here. Just give it some space so that I can type in, cheeseburger or steak or whatever. Then I'm going to take the number 1 and I'm going to drag it down to be about twice the height. So I now have a little bit taller row 1 and a little bit wider column A. Then in B, I'm going to type per item, and then I'm going to hold the Alt button and hit enter so I go to a new line, and I'm going to type in food costs and then put a $sign there. Then I'm going to click and drag so that I've got everything within this cell, and then I'm going to put into C, I'm going to type in times sold. Then I'm going to click on D1 and type in total item and then hold Alt and enter and then food cost and another $sign, and I'm going to drag this so that I've got everything fitting in there. And then in column E here, I'm going to drag this out to be maybe 2 or 3 times the norm, and I'm going to start in E2 and I'm going to type in zero waste food cost and a $sign. Then I'm going to go down to the next one, E3, and type in total food purchased. Then the next one down is total sales and a $sign. And then the next one is total food cost / margin, which is a percentage in parentheses. And then food waste and a $sign. And then food waste again and a percentage. Then I'm going to select all of these and click bold so that they're bold. And then I'm going to select the top 4 and turn them blue. The bottom 2, because they're waste, I'm going to click and turn them red. So now all of our formatting is in, and there's just a few other things that we need to do to get the formatting just right here. Everywhere that you see a $sign, so for example, I'm going to click on column B, the entire column, so it highlights the whole column, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the format as currency, which is the $sign in both Google Sheets and in Excel. Same thing with total item food costs. I'm going to click that whole column and then go format that as currency. And then in the cell that is just to the right of zero waste food cost, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click so F2 in this case, and I'm going to click the $sign to format that as currency. Then the next one, total food purchased, I'm going to click format that as currency, and then total sales, I'm going to format as currency, and then the total food cost / margin, I'm going to click the F5 here, and I'm going to click that as a percentage, and then food waste, I'm going to click, because it's got a $sign again, I'm going to click that and format that as currency, and then the food waste with a percentage, I'm going to click that as a percentage. Okay, so with that in place now, everything is formatted, and we just need to now type in 4 formulas. And those 4 formulas are really simple. Again, all I'm going to do is walk you through the specific formulas themselves, and then I'll work backwards so that you can just type these in and have them ready, and then I'll work backwards and kind of explain them so that if you want to take more time, you can work to understand those. First cell that I'm going to type in a formula in is D2, directly under total item food cost, and I'm just going to select that cell and then hit equals C2 times B2. Now you can also select those if you want to, so I'll show you how you do that. You can just say equals and then select C2 times B2, and that will also work, and then just hit enter. Now I like to kind of format things so that they're centered, so I'm going to click column D and center everything in there, and I'm going to do the same for column B. I'm going to center everything there. But this formula is the first one that you need to know, and then all you're going to do is, select it after you've typed it in, and it should show $0 here. Right click right on top of the $0 and hit copy, and then select the cell underneath it, and then just drag down for a little while in column D, maybe 200 rows. It depends on how big your menu is. And then you're going to right click in the blue highlighted area and paste. And that will now paste that same formula into every cell, and it will be accurate for each cell. So you'll notice it's now C4 times B4, and as you go down, it's taken care of, making sure that they're formatted properly. So your first formula is now done. The second formula that we're going to put in is next to the zero waste food cost. All you're going to do is select on F2, and you're going to type in equals SUM, so sum, and then an open parentheses, and then you're going to click column D, and you'll know it's right because it'll have the D:D. Then you're going to type a close parentheses and hit enter. Now you've got the right formula for column F2, cell F2, which is the zero waste food cost. Now you're not going to put anything into total food purchased or total sales. That will come from your point of sale system, which was explained in the other video, the how to calculate your food cost video. The next formula that you're going to type in is total food cost margin. And all you're going to put in there is equals F3 divided by F4, and then enter. Now, you're going to get an error right here that says divide by 0. Don't worry about that. All that boils down to is that there's nothing entered into here. And so until you put some information in here, you're going to get this divide by 0 error. So don't worry that says divide by 0 for right now. The next thing you're going to do is food waste in this F6. You're going to select that cell, and you're going to type in equals F3 minus F2, and then hit enter. And that should be 0 as well. And then the last formula that you need to worry about is in F7, which is the food waste percentage. You're going to type in equals F6 divided by F3, and then hit enter. Once again, you're going to have a divide by 0 error. Don't worry about that. It's because there's no information in your spreadsheet yet. And there you have it. Your worksheet is set up. Now, I like to format things a little bit, so I might go make these blue, the top one's blue and these two red, but you can format it however you want to. But with those formulas in place, you're now ready to do your food cost calculator as well as your food waste percentage calculator. That's the quick, raw formulas. Let's work our way backward for just a second and talk our way through what we just did here. And so I've got another worksheet over here. This example, we're going to work our way to having this built out so that you can understand what's actually happening and how to use this. Now that we have all of this set up, the first thing I would go in and do is I would go in and I would put in my menu items. So I just pulled 20 random menu items. So in column A is the menu items, and then in column B is the per item food cost. Now you remember, go watch this in the previous video. All this boils down to is for any item that you sell on your menu, you're going to make a list of the ingredients and how to kind of chunk that down so that you can figure out, if I sell a cheeseburger meal, for example, how much are what does the food cost me in order to serve that meal? You can almost always get that straight out of your point of sale and just type it in here. Even if you have to do it manually, it's pretty quick. And so for all of the items on your menu, you're going to come in here and you're just going to type in your per item food cost. Now I've come in and put in some sample kind of dummy data here. The next thing that you're going to type in from your point of sale is the number of times that you've sold each of these items on your menu. Most good point of sale, restaurant point of sale, will have reports that you can go in and just see and type in the number. Now, I like to use 3 months because it takes out kind of seasonality and month-to-month changes where, some months have 4 weekends and some have 5. So I like to go use 3 full months. You can use any period as long as you use the same, like if you're using 3 months, use the same 3 months for everything that you're calculating in here. So time sold, like how many times do we sell that cheeseburger in the last 3 months? Let's say that it was 200 or 300. So I'm going to come in now and enter a couple of these in. So let's just pretend that I had sold that cheeseburger 203 times and this veggie burger 115 times. What this is telling me is, well, each time I serve a cheeseburger, it costs $12.10. Altogether, the 203 times I sold that cheeseburger over the last 3 months, the cost for all of those cheeseburgers is $2,456.30. That's the normal cost if I don't have any waste. Same thing for the veggie burger. All 115 of these that I sold over the last 3 months, all of them together should have cost $1,282.25 if I didn't have any waste. We all have waste, but this is calculating if we didn't have any waste. Now you'll notice that divide by zero number went away over here on the zero waste food cost. If I were to continue filling this out and put some numbers down here for the number of times sold, pretending that this was the complete menu that I was selling, and these are the numbers that I plugged in from my point of sale, now I can see that my total zero waste food cost is $21,637.67. So if I didn't waste any food, this is how much I should have spent on food. Now the next thing that we're going to look at, and let me back up just a little bit. This is pretty simple. Now this formula should make sense. It's just taking the per item food cost times the time sold, and that's that formula C2 times B2 in this cell here, and that's just repeating down for each of your menu items. Now the zero waste food cost over here is just taking the sum of all of the items that you sold as a restaurant for that, say, 3-month period. Now you're going to get the total food purchased from your point of sale, or even just your accounting software. Your profit and loss should have a cost of goods sold calculation that's automatically done for you if you're using like QuickBooks, for example. So let's just say that I go in and I look at that report and it's $23,000. If I've done this properly, I can plug in the total food purchased, let's say it's $23,000, from that same profit and loss or point of sale report that I'm using. I can get my total sales for that same, let's say, 3-month period, and I plug that in. And so in this case, I just stuck 87,500. Everything else now, the rest of those formulas that we just created are going to now fill out. And so this example is, if we didn't have any waste, we would have spent $21,637.60 on food. We purchased $23,000 worth of food, and we sold $87,500. So this was our cost on the food we purchased, and this was the customer's cost on the food that we sold, which means that we spent 26% of our sales on food costs, and we wasted about $1,362.33. And that formula, again, automatically calculates, which is about 6% of the 23,000. So about 6% of the food that we bought ended up as waste. With this in place now, you can easily go through and calculate how you compare to the other restaurants that are like yours throughout the country. And again, in the last video, I actually gave some statistics on how the other restaurants, the average ranges, and so what you should be targeting for both your food waste percentage and your total food cost margin. But this is the worksheet now that you can use to figure out how well you're doing on your food cost, your margins, as well as your food waste. And I hope this is helpful to you.